How's it going? It's Marshall. Thank you very much for tuning into the show. The Synth Lizards are back, ladies and gentlemen. It's been like almost a year, I think, since the last time we did a show. I am Marshall, and we have a couple of guests, the Synth Lizards here. We've got Aaron Russell of Impurfekt. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing all right. Glad to be a part of this Synth Lizard Assembly.
And
Can't believe if it's been a year. I'm amazed.
I think it was the date on the last one I have was September 2020. So it's been almost a year.
Yeah. 11 months.
That's a long time. But we also have Mr. CowFood, also known as Hesse.
Heifer.
Bessie
the heifer. Yeah.
What's up, CowFood? How you doing, man?
Good. It's been a long time. Been too long.
Yeah, I feel like I aged like 10 years in the last year.
At least I've aged a decade.
I just tell everybody I'm 35.
Yeah, that works. I'm 35 too.
Yeah, just do that for 20 years.
Yeah. Was it with girls? They tend to be like, oh, I'm 29 forever, right?
29 and holding.
Yeah. And we could just be 35 for the rest of our lives. Well, yeah, anyway, so thanks for coming on here, gentlemen. It's been a long time. Just real quick, let's get some updates. Aaron, what do you got going on in the world since the last time we chatted? I know we've been on the GeoSynths podcast a few times, and then I've been on your channel once or twice.
Yeah,
so
it was a month ago or 2 months. I am going to be releasing a collaboration EP. I would call it an EP because it's 4 tracks, but they're pretty long tracks. Anyway, collaboration with Steve Connolly of, well, his channel is VS Rabbit, but it's under another project name of his called Hypergall, and it's pretty cool. I would call it like industrial ambient. Is probably the closest thing, or maybe dark ambient. You could call it that. But that'll be next month. What is it? We're in August now. So yeah, September 15th is the date that we're supposed to be, we should drop that on Bandcamp. And in the meantime, I'm continuing Point Surrender music and working on some sci-fi game music. So
that's awesome.
Keeping myself occupied.
Any new gear pickups in the last year?
In the last
That's
year.
a long time.
Lots of rotation in the last year, but I couldn't tell you. Well, other than.
But you had a deluge for a while, and then you went back to only using a DAW, right, for a little bit.
I just picked up this little.
Oh, look at that.
Interface here.
Audio interface.
Audio interface. Yeah.
Is that an RME or a Scarlett? Or what is that?
Actually, it's a Steinberg.
Cool.
Yeah, because I use Cubase, and I thought, well, and I've had one of these before, and it's USB-C 3.0, so it's got a good latency.
Oh wow, that's
it's
nice.
Built like a little tank. It's really heavy. You could protect your property with it. But yeah, for a minimal setup, because yeah, I'm in minimal mode, so trying to pare down and streamline.
Awesome. That's cool. I didn't know that they had audio interfaces coming out with USB-C, because most of the ones I see still have USB 2.0, and that sucks. So
yeah, this is one of the few USB 3, and it's got a C connection. I just know the latency on it is the same as the latency I get on the $1,000 828 ES Motu interface that I'm using right now.
Okay, well that's really good.
That's
awesome.
Definitely better than the Focusrite, because I've also recently tried a Focusrite, and the latency didn't compare to the Steinberg.
Yeah, and I've always liked the RME interfaces because they seem to have really great latency on them. So
yeah, that's the big thing, especially if you're doing plugins, to have it where you can play the keyboard and keep in time while using plugins. You got to have good latency.
Yeah. Well, CowFood, what's happening, bro?
Oh well.
So you got a couple fart boxes behind you. Anything new?
Yeah, I got new stuff.
Well, let's hear
I
it.
got
Let's
a-
hear it, Matt.
Let's see. I got a monopoly, one of the Behringer recreations, and let's see, a 61 key controller that I needed to upgrade from my previous one.
Is that a Nectar?
Well, the Nectar was the one I got getting rid of. I do not recommend Nectar, as I just had some of the worst experience with their product. And I haven't heard anything bad about them from others, but this board that I've had for about 5 years now, which was the P6, which is over here still, the rubber on it has turned into bubble gum. So
Wow.
it's just sticky.
Is that like fake rubber that they put on stuff?
I think it's an organic rubber. It decays over time, and that's what. Because when I had this initially, it was fine, but it's now decayed.
Biodegradable rubber.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Saving the planet.
Not smart synths. If you
No.
want them to last.
Anything you want to have
Or-
last for
or
a long
product.
time, if it like disintegrates in 5 years, that's not good.
Yeah.
And those Nectars, those aren't cheap either, right?
No, this is a premium product.
Yeah.
They had
That's a
other
top
issues,
end
too.
Nectar. Because you can get like an $80 Nectar, but I'm not sure if you'd want, they make low and high end. They've got a pretty wide selection of keyboards.
Yeah.
Well, controllers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
It's how do I put it? It was a disappointment, to say the least. I had other issues where I actually had an electrician come into the house and try to work some magic to figure out if I was getting a grounding issue. Where the automated slider for the volume on that P6 was not working unless, well, I figured it out. I had to wear no shoes, bare feet in the house in order for it to work.
Really?
If I
Okay.
touched the board somehow or used it, it seemed to work more consistently.
Yep.
But otherwise, it just won't work in my environment.
That's
So
bizarre.
this is like I can't get one of the main functions of it to work the way I want to do it.
Let's throw it in the trash.
Hey, I probably will. I mean, no one's gonna want. I would feel bad trying to sell this or even give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's. I feel that's one of the worst. Anyway, another topic for another day. What other things have I gotten? I've gotten a couple of.
Well, what'd you
modular
replace?
things.
What'd you replace the Nectar with?
I replaced it with the Novation SL Mark III.
Yeah, buddy.
Nice.
That's I need to get one of those too.
It's a hybrid. I would say the key bed is average. It's the same, and we're a little better than actually the Nectar. But it's no Fatar. It's not quite that level. If you're looking for a good key bed, then steer away and go somewhere else.
I don't know of any MIDI keyboards that have good key beds. Are there any?
The only one I know of is the one that I have.
Which one do you have?
This it's kind of hard to see there, and I don't even know if you can get them anymore. They may have stopped making them. It's that extra deluxe manufacturing 61 keyboard. It's wood, metal, has a Fatar key bed,
Wow.
and doesn't have a million bells and whistles, and it's got metal pitch and mod wheels.
That's all I want. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I got it. It was not cheap. Last I heard they were sold out, but I also heard that they're supposed to be releasing like a Mark II.
Okay.
So that's something that if I remember, I can remind you when it happens.
Yeah, definitely do. Anyway, CowFood. What else? You got some more
So-
fart machines behind you?
Yeah, man, more fart machines. Eurorack. I picked up the Behringer System 100, or most of it, because I already had some of it in my Eurorack.
Is it behind you?
It is.
Can you scoot? Can we see?
Give us a twirl.
I will twirl.
Give us a
and see if I
Dr.
can-
Evil spin. Oh, look at there.
And let's see. It's kind of hidden. I'll try to pull it up a little. There it is. I'm in front of the. In front of all this other stuff is in front of that. But yeah.
Did the original have red LEDs on it?
Yes, I believe. No, actually, I don't think it did. I don't think it had any LEDs. But
Can you turn the LEDs down or off?
I know. Nope, they're stuck. They're stuck in bright mode, unfortunately. But I mean,
Well, at least they're not green.
Yeah.
So it could be worse.
Yes, it could be green.
Yes, it could. Picked up an RD6 as well. That thing is nice. What else? That's primarily it. There's some knickknacks and other stuff. Like there's a Zero Coast. I'll show you what that is.
What's the RD6?
That's the Behringer 808.
606.
Or wait,
drum machine.
Thing.
It's the RD6 then that you got, right?
Yes.
Okay, you were saying RD8, I think.
Did I?
I heard RD6.
Oh, did he say 6? Maybe my ears are broke. Sorry.
Perhaps.
You're trying to dual process because you're running the show.
Yes. That's my excuse.
What was that little gadget you had in your hand there,
Some
CowFood?
guitar pedals as well. But
Oh.
yeah, this is Euro rack for people that don't have racks. This is a 0 HP, which doesn't take any space. It's a passive. In this case, it's a Vactro low pass gate. They make other products too. Shameless plug for those guys. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
So like you can patch from the rack into that box and back into the rack. It just like sits beside your rack.
Yeah, I can put it anywhere. Just put it. Just think of it as like a stackable cable kind of story, if you will. It's
Yeah.
just sits around. No power required. No batteries. Nothing. All the products.
Oh, no batteries? That's no fun.
No batteries. No fun. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, I got some guitar pedals I could go on about, but this is more about synths. So
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I picked up a Prophet 10. I'm sure you gentlemen know that. And I have set up this really lovely Behringer Roland wannabe rig there with the RD9, RD8, TD2 TD3s. So I'll be making some videos on that setup here pretty soon. That'll be fun. And
Did you swap the board in that Prophet 10?
yes, yeah. So they sent me a new board because I didn't feel like resoldering it. So I didn't send them the whole chassis back. So they just sent me the motherboard or whatever that needed to be swapped out in it because there was like a resistor or something that was added that shouldn't have been. So I did opt to just have them send me a replacement, and then I manually swapped those out and put it back together. And
I'm trying to think of a Star Trek joke, but I can't think of one.
Really? A Star Trek joke?
Oh yeah, the Borg resistance, all that.
Oh yeah.
There's got to be one in
Resistance.
there. I'm too slow tonight.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I'm not good at jokes. So yeah, that's about it. I think for me, I haven't picked up anything major since the Prophet 10, so that's been a little bit. But fingers crossed for some stuff coming out here pretty soon that maybe we'll talk about, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, so if you guys are cool, let's get on to the news.
yeah,
So I just picked out some articles. We'll just chat about these, and folks, feel free to leave some comments about what you think what's going on in the synth world. There hasn't been a whole lot of new product releases that I can really think of, and part of that's probably pandemic related, I'd imagine. But anyway, first thing I wanted to talk about is the worldwide rights to Oberheim trademark returned to its founder. Find this article on Synthtopia. I'll have links to these articles in the description if you want to check these out. But this is, to me, like super cool. I'm glad this happened. I know Behringer had owned partial rights to the Oberheim name somehow, and they tried to, I think, get the whole shebang. And I'm glad that didn't happen. I'm glad that Mr. Tom Oberheim has got the right to his name back. What do you think about that, CowFood?
I think that's the right move. it's probably more on a PR level. I don't think they really care whether they had the name or not. If it made them money, that's all they care.
Yeah.
But that's like any company, I guess. But they're cutthroat. They own the world in a sense when it comes to synths. Others would say, well, maybe not, but I think they've made a huge impact, and they've done some really they made some poor decisions with making fun of other people in ways that I don't think was right. And taking someone's name, like Oberheim, Tom Oberheim's name is not, I wouldn't call that, it just shouldn't be used on their product, period. But I'm glad they made that move. That was the right thing to do. So
100% agree. Aaron?
Yeah, I think for me, that's the moment Behringer jumped the shark, is when I got the impression they were going after Tom Oberheim's name. And it's one thing, I could see if it was a posthumous thing. I think that's the right, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Tom Oberheim's still around, and I didn't even know they're still releasing synthesizers.
Yeah.
Which I think was lower in that article.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes no sense to try and market someone's name when they're still alive and they're not involved at all. It's
bizarre. It's just bizarre. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Business isn't terribly moral anyway, but
right.
That was like exceptionally immoral in my opinion. So I'm glad he got his rights back.
Yeah.
It feels like Dave getting sequential back.
Yeah, it feels like that, except without the Darth Vader of synthesizer makers trying to take his name or his old company name and make products with it. So
yeah,
it's a little different when it's someone's last name too. I mean,
I mean, like, it's his name.
Why? So maybe, in some sense, I think they maybe did this. They maybe took the name and gave it back just as a way to show that they have some kind of kindness.
That could be. It doesn't really give the details on how that all went down, because I believe internationally Behringer owned the rights, but in the U.S., Tom Oberheim owned the rights. So I guess
Behringer giveth and Behringer taketh away.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
So if they did, like, that's a good move, Behringer. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad you did that, if that's what happened. And
well, but then it said lower down in that article, I think that I think it was like a United States trademark office, or there was something there where they made it clear. Yeah, U.S. Patent and Trademark.
Oh yeah, they rejected it. So I guess never mind.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Behringer.
So I think that's when things change. Is like, Behringer probably tried to trademark it in the U.S. and that didn't fly because they're like, this guy's still alive and he's making synthesizers.
Yeah.
And they have his name on them.
And that create brand confusion, and that's usually a big no-no.
So maybe that's when they decide, okay, let's negotiate in a different direction.
Yeah. I agree. Well, that's cool. So I'm glad that's what we got. We started off with a happy one. And next, let's talk about the Kenton Smart MIDI Patch Bay. This I'm really into setting up with my live setup here, and I think something like this I could really use. And basically what it is a 16 by 16 MIDI I/O matrix that you can customize the routes for, and it's got 8 DIN ports and 4 USB host ports and 4 USB device ports. So, and you can route these in any different combinations, save and recall patches, like in scenes as well. So I think this is a nice product. I don't see too many MIDI patch bays come out, so I was excited to see this. What do you think there, Aaron?
I was just trying to think of other ones I've used. That one appears to be the most fully featured. It looks like you could configure it from the front panel, is the impression I have, looking at it's got a screen.
Yeah, it
buttons
says
there.
It's fully configurable from the front panel, and then I think they've got a planned bit of software to come along, but it's not don't think the software's out yet.
Because I've used the MIDI Solutions T as in Ted, T8, and that one, it was like 1 in and then 8 out, and I think they may have had one that went the other direction, but there was no configuration on that. You just put one signal in and it would split it into 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or duplicate it into 8, sorry. And I've also used, Motu has a couple of MIDI interfaces, but you have to program them using software, and it was very glitchy and frustrating, and I had constant problems, which is why I ended up with the MIDI Solutions T8, because literally it gets power from your original MIDI source and it splits it, and there's no adjustments at all. This one looks like the best of both worlds, fully configurable, but it looks like a serious piece of gear.
Yeah, it looks legit, I think.
Are you familiar with the Kenton brand? I've never had any Kenton devices.
I haven't. I haven't had any of their equipment either.
Well, I can chime in on that.
There you go.
But Kenton have been famous in the past for doing conversions, or let's say you want to sync up your DIN sync Roland gear, your 303 with a MIDI piece of kit. You get a Kenton MIDI to DIN sync converter, or there were Kenton retrofit kits. You could have a tech solder in the MIDI into, say, your OBXA, for instance, didn't have it. So, or Kenton kits for that. You have to solder it in yourself. But they also did MIDI to CV converters, all kinds of conversion for syncs, MIDI, CV, gates, the gamut. So that's what they've been doing.
Okay, so I've got some pedigree in that whole space in terms of MIDI.
Oh yeah. They were the name. That was the way to go back in the day, and still to this day, actually. If you want quality or the stuff that people did use and want to have that same feel, and you're purist about it, I suppose, then Kenton is the way, I guess, that you should.
Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, and especially in the vintage, older synths that didn't originally launch with MIDI, and to be able to get those converted would be a huge deal.
My only concern with this unit is what might the latency be if it introduces latency.
That's a good question. It does. I don't know.
This is my little MIDI box.
Oh, look at that!
My hub.
Looks like a hockey.
So retro kits. Whatever.
What is it?
Throw an input in any one of these, and it'll turn the rest into outputs, or you can configure it as well.
What is it called?
Configurable. Retro Kits is the company.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that.
Little MIDI hub. It's a pretty full and rich little device. I use it since I do most of my setups just small. I don't hook up everything, which is a boon and a bane.
Yeah,
obviously.
Because then you're always constantly switching stuff around.
Mm-hmm. But I don't have room for a big rack setup and all that. So I used to do that.
I've got a MIDI Express 128, which is a Motu, I believe, but that's the one that's not configurable. So
is that an older model?
I don't know how old that is. I've had it for a few years.
It may not be that old, because I think I had the one that was like half rack wide.
Yeah, this one's a full 19-inch. It's made to fit in a rack, and but it's not the more advanced one where you could do the routing. So it's literally you plug a device into a port, and that's what you got. One in, one out through that port kind of thing. Or if you hook a splitter up to it or whatever, you could do it that way. But yeah, so I was excited to see that. Thought that was cool. Now let's take a look at this next article here about Teenage Engineering and their OP1 update, which adds USB audio streaming. This is interesting to me because the OP1's been around for a long time, and I think I was really surprised to see this because that audio streaming capability you would think would potentially require some more processing power, and apparently this thing can do it. So I don't own an OP1, but if I was an owner, I'd be super stoked to see this. It's just kind of odd that they waited this long to add something like that. That's the only kind of thing I think is kind of a little odd. But it's cool to see that they're still supporting it and still pushing updates, and really good updates like this. What do you think, CowFood?
I don't have an OP1. I mean, I'm glad they're doing updates. Now, speaking of, maybe they did this in response to the MPC line of stuff, because they just put an update out where you can take your audio interface and plug it into it, and now you got however many inputs you've got on there and however many outputs.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Wow,
that's cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, didn't you have an MPC one, Aaron?
I do. I have one.
Oh, you have one.
Aaron used to.
I had the. I can't remember what it was called now, because I don't think it was. What's the small one? Is the small one that you have, CowFood, is that the one, or is that something else?
Yeah, the one is the cheapest of the new MPC line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a 2000. I can't remember what it was called, the one I had.
Yeah, there's the MPC Live.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, the Live. Okay, yeah, the Live is not a standalone unit, right? That one you have to.
No, the Live is.
The Live is.
The one I had had big panel of pads with a screen to the right of it, and so it was like a 2:1 aspect ratio.
What's the one
like
that
a rectangle
that wasn't that you had to tether to a computer? Was that the? I don't remember what that one was now.
I don't know that MPC has made. They might have a controller that they've introduced, but the main MPCs have been standalone.
Okay.
Yeah, they had one that was, I think, driven on the computer as a controller.
Maybe it was a touch or something. I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah, I think that was that's the cheapest one they made.
Yeah.
They've sort of been flooding the market with their little MPC devices.
And I don't mean to steal the thunder from this article of the OP1. That's not my here.
No, that's just the way the conversation goes.
But with that, someone took a look at the firmware for the MPC, and there's apparently a keyboard version of the MPC coming out. With basically the MPC on one side of the keyboard, and then 61 or however many keys they're going to give it, maybe 49. Kind of like the Digitone did with their little.
Oh, where they had like the stupid, where they looked like they just literally like slapped a key bed onto the edge.
Right.
Yeah.
And it might be something similar to that, although maybe not.
That thing is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen.
The firmware that these current units are using will be the same for that new product that comes out.
Okay.
So we can see that there's future. Akai is definitely going to keep doing more firmware updates for these products: the Live, the X, the One, and this new thing that's coming out. And they're all integrated. Then there's been another one, the Digitac. I'm bringing these up because they're kind of similar to the OP1.
Yeah.
Got a big firmware upgrade too. They added an extra LFO to the whole thing and some other stuff, functionality to it. Putting new life or just extending the functionality of that sampler. And some filters on there too. They added some good stuff. I mean, it's not just like, oh, we just made the usability of it better or something. And so for the OP1, I guess that's nice and all, but I mean, the Roland boutiques kind of have this going for them already, right?
Well, you can't sample into them, and I mean, they're not samplers either, so I guess that would make sense. But they do act as audio interfaces, so you can connect them up to a computer and use. I can't remember what it's called on Mac, but in Windows, something like ASIO for All, and combine them and stream all the audio from them to the computer. But this will also do the other way.
Yeah.
Which, again, I mean, the OP1 is old. So I was like, that's crazy that they've added that all of a sudden.
Well, good on teenage engineering.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they're continuing to support their products. Maybe they're trying to say, look, we'll do it too, as other companies are doing it. So,
well, and I feel like
longevity in your products, we can do it as much as the others can.
Well,
we'll see, maybe.
Like when they stopped making them for a little bit because they couldn't get the screens or whatever, and then when they brought them back, they like jacked the price up by like double. I was like, Jesus. But now it feels like with this kind of capability, that might make that price point feel a little more palatable, I think. That's just my thought.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a lot to say about other stuff, but yeah.
That's okay. What do you think, Aaron?
I like to see anybody continue to support a product. Planned obsolescence is like a dirty word to me. I don't like it when people do that. And, you know, and this is, even though they have the OPZ, which I have the impression the OPZ was meant to replace the OP1 entirely. So given that they have those two products and they're still supporting the old one, which is commendable. So I assume what would somebody use a USB out, audio out primarily for? Is that like, well, you don't need an audio interface to hook that up to your computer. You can just hook it straight in.
Yes.
And stream to your DAW. Is that what you would use?
Yeah, you get pristine audio when you go digital into your computer.
Is it 2 channels in this case, or can it do multi-timbrality or whatever the word is? I don't know how many instruments you can run simultaneously on the OP1.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the actual firmware. I don't know this article.
Like, I wonder if that'd be interesting, right? If it gave you access to the internal mixer of the thing, assuming it has multiple instrument capability.
Yeah, I think CowFood's right. I think you can record one thing at a time, and you kind of layer things with the samples that you record.
Well, like right? a tape tracker kind of
like a
concept.
tape. Yeah. And that's actually when you look at this.
So you could record separate tracks into the DAW and end up with a lot more flexibility, I guess.
Exactly. You could. Well, yeah. Or even full compositions or live performances. Like, there's a lot of different usability there, I think, for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could do that with the audio out into a DAW or into an audio interface and then into a DAW anyway. But this, like you said, it adds some value because you no longer need a dedicated audio interface. You can just plug it straight in
and capture the audio,
like a laptop or whatever.
And then even cooler is being able to sample back into it, I think, because I don't know.
Oh, so that a USB audio goes both ways?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I just saw that it said USB streaming. I didn't see the
it
additional.
Says record from USB audio or record to your computer via USB.
The biggest thing the reason I didn't end up looking at the OP1 is I think it is a serious instrument. I think it really definitely has its own sound characteristic. The tape sound, the stop and the transport on it actually makes it embellishes a sound characteristic on your work. It's interesting. It's a digital tape recorder, like a 4-track, from what I remember. But the reason
is it low fidelity?
It can be. Yeah, I think it has some lo-fi effects in there. But it also has a tape stop, like sound with
cool.
You can impart onto.
So if you had an older tape deck and you hit stop and it kind of it doesn't actually stop right away. It takes it like
reel-to-reels especially.
Yeah.
But the reason I didn't go for this thing when it came out a while ago, 10 years ago or more, is because or was it 2012? Anyway, the reason I didn't do it is because it has an internal battery that cannot be replaced, or it can, but it requires a lot of servicing to get to that battery. I looked at the actual, how do I change the battery? It finally doesn't charge up.
I didn't even realize that. Yeah, that would be.
No, I don't want this, but I mean, everyone's like, well, mine still works just fine with all the recharges I've done. I'm like, well, we'll see in another 3 years.
I wonder how much they've been using them. That'd be interesting to get some feedback on the battery life.
I think you can run it hopefully with just a USB. And a phone charger to power brick. It, but I don't know for sure on that. If the battery finally just craps out, if you can still just run it with
it depends what the pathway for the juice is that it runs off of.
Right.
If the battery's kaput,
I never got a
Is that
clear
pretty
answer.
done?
Huh.
So I just said, nope, I'm going to take that risk.
I remember just looking at it going, I mean, this is cool, but when would I ever use it? Probably never. So I just skipped it. So.
Ditto.
Anyway, let's talk about the next one. Let me refresh that actually. This I thought was cool because it reminds me of the MIDI NES that I have. It's essentially a
Do you have that handy? Can you show us your cart?
I'd have to go run grab it. I didn't bring it in here, but yeah, this is essentially a Super Nintendo MIDI cartridge that allows you to control the internal Super Nintendo sound chip like a synthesizer, and I think that's cool. So I'll pass it off to Aaron, and I'll run grab mine real quick.
Okay. So I read the article, watched the video, because I love the Super Nintendo's. The music on that console is probably my favorite console music. As far as I understand, so primarily what a person hears on the Super Nintendo is going to be sample based, and it's playing back very small, low bit rate samples, low quality even. I can't remember if they're 8-bit or not, and so with this device I can't remember what the name of it is, but there's a web application where you would upload your own samples. I assume there's a memory on the card itself, because if there's no game cartridge in the Super Nintendo, it has no access to samples. Well, I don't know. I'd have to check, but I didn't know if there's samples that are actually loaded onto the Super Nintendo console itself. My impression is that has the sound chip, but samples would always come from a cartridge. So without you loading up samples onto the cartridge via the application, you would not have any samples to work with. So to have it sound like a Final Fantasy game, you would have to gather some samples, load them onto that cartridge, then put it into your Super Nintendo, and then you should be able to play it back.
Yeah, it says
and have it sound like that.
It says here it comes with certain samples on here, is what it looks like. So I
square, wave, sine, triangle.
Yeah,
and those. I mean, most of the Super Nintendo stuff, it's like really lo-fi strings and clarinets and trumpets and
like timpanis
drum
and
sounds.
Stuff. Yeah. Well, here's what this reminded me of. This is what I have. It's called the MIDI NES. It's a old school Nintendo cartridge that's been modified with a USB input port. Basically, you plug this in and you can control this from a DAW or a sequencer. And this gives you, I want to say it's 4 channels, and it's the original channels that are generated from this from the original Nintendo, the original NES. That chip has a name. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't have it memorized.
But this thing is super cool, and the guy that makes these is like a real dick, from what I understand, and it's like he kind of like was taking orders and then didn't fill them from people.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so anyway, I was able to get a hold of one at some point, like probably 2009, so it's been a long time, but this kind of reminded me of that, and I thought it was pretty cool. What do you think there, CowFood?
That's cool.
Are you into chiptune stuff?
Yeah, I used to be, I guess. The Electron SID station. It's Electron's first.
Oh yeah. I think we talked about that a few times. Yeah, you had one, didn't you?
I never did.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't do that. I could have bought one not too long ago. There was one sitting in this guitar shop that no one wants to buy.
Right, and for those who don't know, the SID station is it's an Electron product that basically ran off of the SID chip, which is the audio chip that's in the Commodore 64, right?
Yep.
And they ran out. I don't know if they've run out of those chips. They had to get new old stock.
Yeah, I don't know if they probably don't make them anymore, I'd imagine.
The chips are hard to get. Commonly, there are clone versions made, and there's a couple different even generations made, and they all have different 4-digit numbers. I can't remember them now. Like one is a 80 something or other, but that's common when if you're cruising around online and you're looking for a SID synth, because a variety of manufacturers still make them. They'll say chip not included in the most cases, and you can try really hard to find new old stock of original chips, and there's a few different generations that people say, well, this is the best one and that's the best one. So there's a big debate about that. But then there's also companies that make a clone, so you can get a new one that's supposed to sound like the old ones. I can't vouch for the quality of
I'd imagine you could probably just pull one out of a Commodore 64 as well, right?
Well, yeah, if you can
yeah,
get one at a yard sale or something and clean it off.
What's a yard sale?
But there was, so it reminds me of that, and it also there was a cartridge made for Game Boys.
Yeah, that's the LSDJ. I also have one of those.
So the concept's not new, except that this one I suppose is, because you can actually plug in your standard DIN MIDI.
Well, this is new. I've never seen anyone make anything like this for a Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Usually
it's like people want the raw tones generated from the older consoles, and so like the Atari or the Commodore or the Nintendo or the Game Boy. I've never seen anyone really. I've never heard anyone say, "Oh man, I wish I could make some chiptune with the Super Nintendo," but here it is.
Well, exactly. I've always wanted to make those sounds, but the problem is with it being sample based, it's not going to sound like what you want it to unless you can acquire those samples and load them on there. I don't know how easy it is to get a hold of them. And when I read that article and I did a check with looking for Super Nintendo VSTs, and I actually found that Plogue, Plogue, which they have a really good chiptune VST that I've had for a very long time.
Yeah,
that does
it's called chiptune, right? Or
yeah, chiptune
or something like that.
Nintendo, Genesis, and a bunch of other ones. Anyway, they have a really good VST equivalent of this exact device, and it comes with a fair amount of samples that are, which I don't know how they got around copyright, but they're the exact same samples that you would hear in a variety of very popular Super Nintendo games, and it comes with those. So it's a little, well, and not a lot of people have a Super Nintendo sitting around. And as I understand it, this device is very limited quantities. I don't know if it said the number, but they're just going to do one run of the this cartridge.
That's what I think. Yeah, I think I remember him saying that in the video. But if you do get in and you can get one, it's $99. So I don't know if that's worth it to some people. Might be a lot, might be not. And then I guess if you've got a Super Nintendo sitting around, you've been itching to compose some of your own Star Fox game music on there.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, I'm down. I think that's cool that they're breathing life into some of this old tech.
Yeah, I love that. I love that stuff. Take something old and find another way to use it, and in a way that maybe nobody else had thought of before. So
exactly,
I'm digging it. All right, well, let's talk about the next thing here. We got the Artisan Electronic Instruments Nucleus. I hadn't heard of this at all. It looks like an analog. It says it calls it a hybrid synthesizer, but it does have some digital wavetables in there. Okay. So the demo. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The demo I heard on this wasn't the most appealing thing to me personally, but in fact, I think I have it here. And I was like, what is this? Let me see if I can play this. A little bit of this here. Can you guys hear that?
The two discrete analog oscillators provide waveforming, pulse width modulation, and heart sync. The sub-oscillator has also multiple waveforms. The third digital oscillator brings wavetable synthesis and physical modeling to the nucleus.
Okay, that's enough of that. It's like one of the worst sounding demos I've ever heard, I think. But anytime there's new hardware come out and it's got some analog components, like I'm usually pretty... I'll at least take a look. What do you guys think of this, Aaron?
I'd have to hear more of it, that's for sure. Which, is this a brand new company? I've never heard of them.
I don't
the
think
styling
they've been
it's got a
around.
fairly classic modular styling to it.
Yeah, they've got some retired
from that
products
list
here, so
it should sound great, you know,
yeah,
just depending on
the
how
specs,
you use it.
The specs
I
seem
mean,
really good.
The main thing that you would need would be analog oscillators, and they're in there. And I'd have to hear the 8-pole. What was that? Can you go back up to the list, please?
Yeah, it's an 8-pole multi-mode dual peak filter.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a West Coast synthesis type thing. I've never used an 8-pole filter. I guess that means it's a 48 dB filter. So it'd be really, really dark.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. I don't know a huge amount about filters specifically, but most of the ones I have had my hands on are either 2 or 4-pole.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I'd like to hear some other demos, like really kind of going into depth on that without.
But it's essentially a self-contained modular. Is that modular? For some reason, I assumed it was, but now that I'm seeing it again,
looks like a
I'm
desktop,
not seeing a whole lot of patch points.
Hybrid desktop synthesizer. It has a few points on here. Sorry, I have it pulled up here. Yeah, there's a few.
Okay, yeah,
Pitch
it does.
mod, multi-mod. Yeah, it's got a few.
So it may have normal routing, and then for modulation is what you would use the patch points for.
Yeah, I'd imagine. What do you think, CowFood?
Well, it does have a display, right? I guess it has you can patch memory with it. So it's like Eurorack for people that are like, I hate Eurorack because I can't save my patches. So please give me a Eurorack with patches.
Yeah, it's got it says 100 user presets.
Right.
And,
So you can
built-in standard patches.
patch internally, I guess.
Yeah, it's got
obviously whatever
got
cabling you put on there, which is very limited by the looks of the outside of it, is up to you, but you can reroute the internal patching. It seems to me like a monophonic desktop synthesizer, but made to look like Eurorack.
I thought I saw something.
I saw in the
it could do
the literature, it just says there 12 or 24 low pass, 12 or 24 high pass, 12 or 24 band pass.
Here,
so
yeah.
I'm not sure what they mean when they say 8-pole.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But it should sound good. Cascade OTA. So I think some of the Rolands are Cascade filters, I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like to hear some more demos though. I'm intrigued by the by this thing.
But this thing is also it's supposed to be in a keyboard version.
Yeah. So yeah, they mention here
Yeah, a 4 or 8
the keyboard
voice
version will be available in
keyboard
4 or 8 voice versions. Yeah. That might be a
How-
little
how
more
does that
interesting.
work?
Now,
Because the little one at the top is mono, I assume, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it probably.
So that's going to be very, very spendy if it's got a full analog signal chain.
Well, minus the wavetable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, the
Eight
Nucleus
wavetable oscillators and 8 analog oscillators. Or
will
whatever.
initially be available in Eurorack desktop module Prototype shown above. Keyboard version. Features 4 to 8 voices. So I don't know if this means that the Eurorack version will be 4 or 8 voices or only the keyboard version. Does it say? It really doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of mysteries on this one, and Waldorf makes a Eurorack keyboard. So your Eurorack case does have a keyboard with a pitch bend and mod wheel attached to it. So you can add your own modules, and I think one that the Waldorf one comes with is a MIDI to 4 CV 4 gate type of output. It might be more. I could be wrong on that. But so if you want to hold down a chord on your MIDI controller keyboard, it'll actually trigger the oscillators per note press. So you can actually turn, if you have the wherewithal with the money spent, add 4 oscillators, 4 filters, 4 envelopes, 4 VCAs. You can have yourself a 4-voice Eurorack polyphonic synth in this case. So,
does that make you excited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Mutable Instruments makes a module for, like, they discontinued it, I think. It's called Yarns. It does exactly that. So if you want to do it yourself, it's all there. You can make your own polyphonic. I basically have that right now. You can set up with just that one module. So the jury's still out on this one. I mean, they've got, looks like a prototype and some rendering. So, and then the demo.
More information needed.
Lackluster, but doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means we don't know yet. So, interesting. Right. Okay, let's talk about something that's maybe a less impactful, but kind of cool. Knobotron mod gives Korg Volcas tactile UV-Reactive controls. I saw this and I was like, oh, that makes those Volcas look a lot more cool. I'm not a super big fan of the Volcas in general, but that's cool. It's like you remember when you get like a box of Lucky Charms, and in the bottom there'd be like that little glow in the dark toy or whatever.
Yep.
That's how these work. You charge them up with some UV light and then turn the lights off. Although it did say something about a black light, but I don't know if you need the black light.
Those photos look like they were taken with a black light.
Yeah, because it does look like black light. So maybe it's black. I think I pulled up their website here too.
But I thought UV reactive, like you said, it's like the
they are
age-old glow-in-the-dark technology where you just charge it up under a lamp.
Under a light, yeah. And then turn the lights off and it glows, yeah. So this says it's the knobs are fluorescent and UV reactive, generating an intense glow under black light. So it does specifically say black light there, so maybe you need a black light to really get the full effect. Maybe it'll glow a little bit.
Yeah, or maybe you don't even need to charge them if you do use a black light.
That could be too, yeah. But they've got some pictures of these here. Look at that. That looks pretty cool. Looks like a psychedelic synth setup there. I don't know. What do you think there, CowFood? You gonna add some of these?
I got my glow sticks ready.
Well, it looks like these are. This one here is for the that Mother 32 and a DFAM. Yeah, that's a subharmonica on there. So it looks like maybe they do more than just Volcas. So if you got some Moog products,
like it. So you're into black lights.
That's a no coast there. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I just don't have a blacklight setup in here. I need a
go get one.
Blacklight with some of those fluorescent activated, like, I don't know, those posters that they had back in the 70s. Go with some of those as well.
I don't know what that is. I wasn't even alive in the 70s, so I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about, man.
Oh, okay. You listen out.
This
They
is
usually
making...
have tigers coming out of the woods and stuff, and they
Oh, okay.
black background, and you have your black light hanging over it, and it would just glow come at you.
You add a couple
Drop
lava
enough
lamps
acid.
and some decoupage
It'll come alive.
with some wood paneling.
Yeah.
And shag carpet. I just described the 70s to everybody.
Anyway, yeah, that. I like the idea. That's cool. I mean, not to mention,
you got a DFAM,
the
right?
knobs. I have a DFAM. I have a Mother 32. I've got a number of Volcas.
Oh,
I have
dude.
an SQ1, which they mentioned.
Yeah, this is for
I didn't
you,
see
man.
these pictures.
This is for you.
So do you buy knob kits? Or do you mix
Yeah,
and
you buy
match?
them per knob, I think.
Let's see. Let me see. So let's go to let's do some shopping for CowFood. Let's go to the DFAM.
Donate.
I
to my
think you
knob
just buy
needs.
the whole thing. So
Yeah, it looks like a kit.
18
that you would
bucks.
swap
Oh,
in the whole
really?
kit.
Yeah, dude, you got $18, right?
Holy doo-doo.
Yeah.
I mean, just from one standpoint, the DFAM has, see those little knobs in the bottom of the DFAM there?
yeah. These down here.
Those are a pain in the butt to like dial in the right, so that's a sequencer. So getting the right exact tonality is really hard.
They're not
to
they're not
dial in.
quantized?
No, it's not quantized. It's linear.
Wow.
So, yeah, you really have to work hard to dial that in to get the notes right. So with
Sit
those
there with a
knobs,
tuner.
Interesting. So having that little
that extra girth on those knobs will make a huge difference.
one and like the little fin on there, I'd imagine would be very
Yeah,
helpful.
the little tick mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Little.
that'll help.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I
so
expect to see those in your studio.
Even if I don't have
in a
the
week.
black light and that tiger in the woods poster on the back, I mean, I could still see function with those on a number. Even the SQ1 has those little tiny knobs, and the Volcas. So yeah, it'll help you just get a better grip and dial in your sound a little better too. I would think.
Aaron, what do you think? I don't think you don't have any of the Volcas, do you?
No, I don't. I've never been in the same room as a Volca.
Heresy.
I prefer earth tones. Everything that I see on that webpage is like an aesthetic nightmare, so I'm probably
It's making
not
Aaron's
their target
eyes
audience.
bleed. Yeah, that's fair enough. I just thought that was kind of neat.
I'm keeping it real tonight.
Yeah, no, that's the way we do on this channel. All right, so next thing we're going to talk about our boys over at Behringer. Behringer. I was yelled at once for saying it Behringer, but I'm like, that's how I say G's. But it's Behringer. Whatever. TD3MO, this was the one that they had originally tried to work a deal with the creator of the Devilfish mod for the TB303. If anybody's not familiar with that, check it out. The Devilfish mod to the TB303 is amazing. So originally Behringer had attempted to reach out to the creator and work a deal, and that fell through. And then they just decided to just do it anyways. And then they originally released it as the Murdered Out, and then they changed it to Modded Out. I guess murdered is a little too much of a offensive word, I'd imagine, to put on a product.
Even for Behringer?
Even for Behringer. So, yeah, I want to hear about what you guys think of this, and then I'll give my 2 cents. What do you think, Aaron?
It sounds good in the demo. Other than that, to me, Behringer has just become more of a morbid curiosity at this point. I'm not surprised by anything they do, but you know, for people that have, which I'm wondering if a lot of the is it the TB303 folks are gonna want to switch, because that's the one that comes in like 16 flavors right now, isn't it? Or is that the TD303?
No, that's the TD3. The TD3 is Behringer's knockoff of the original 303. So, and I've got 2 of those here. I got a black one and a yellow one. That's just kind of like a vanilla TB303 recreation with a distortion. It's very similar to the boutique that Roland put out, the TB3, that also has a built-in distortion, but also has an echo built into it too.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
okay.
but that
But yeah,
one's-
it's a bass, little bass box. But I'm wondering if people that have the original that Behringer cloned last year or whatever are going to want to upgrade to this one. Like, is there any reason why you wouldn't want to upgrade? Does it do everything the old one does and more, or is it kind of a different flavor entirely?
I don't know if you can get a Devilfish modded TB303 to sound like a regular 303. That I don't know, actually. And I'm not sure if that's the case with this.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how true to the Devilfish mod they were.
Yeah, and I don't know all the details of what the Devilfish mod did to the 303. I just know that it expands the capabilities of the original TB303
Yeah, I mean,
to a ridiculous
it looks like
level. Yeah.
it's a lot of improvements and variations.
Yeah, because the
from
original
the video, so.
the original 303 was designed to be a bass player replacement, and people obviously didn't use it for that, or if they did, it was not. It's not what it became famous for, at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah. CowFood.
Yeah.
You can get one of these. You can get modded out TD3. Get your acid on.
Out. Nope, I probably won't. And here's why, because back to some of Aaron's questions. And Robin Whittle was the one that did these mods to the originals, the TB303. And Behringer offered him, I guess, I don't know, something like $13,000 or $15,000 to relinquish his work on this. And he said, "Give me $303,000 and I'll do it." And Behringer said, "Well, screw you." But anyway, that's some of the backstory. But it changes the 303. I would say, I mean, it keeps some of what the 303 had, but it adds more to it, making the elements that it did have that were really good in and of itself harder to find sound-wise, sonically. So it's trying to exaggerate in essence what the 303 was all about, but the original 303 in my opinion was good enough. Just maybe I'm an old fart that thinks, that I'm kind of a purist in that way. And when I had my 303, I was thinking about sending one off to Australia to have it modded by Robin, but then I was like, $3,000? No, hell no. Because at the time, my 303 wasn't anywhere near that kind of price. And I'm like, why would I spend all this extra money just to have a now kind of, in my opinion, ruined 303? I can't go back. Once that Devilfish is added, you can't go back to just having the way it was. And I don't know. I mean, there's some elements to the murdered out one that I kind of like, which is the more UV-Reactive functionality. So I can modulate certain elements of it, or modulate or do stuff with the UV-Reactive more than I could with their TD3s, but not to an extent that I'd want to buy one. I mean, it adds a sub oscillator. You're adding another oscillator to the synth. It has a wider range to the frequency cutoff, making it difficult to find the ranges where it actually sounds good as the original 303, but it'll sound different. So you get a higher squelch and a lower mud, but getting the sweet spots that you had the range on with the original aren't there anymore. Things like that. So for me, it's like, you want a more screaming acid type line, then sure, go for it. But if you want to hold true, stay with just the clones of the 303, or you're just stay with your TB303 if you have one. And that's my take on it.
Or the Roland.
Yeah, I'm saying the original Roland. Stay with that if you have it. Don't get it modified with a Devilfish, because you might end up being like, I wish I had my old TB303 back. Well, tough. It's no longer that. It's something a little different. Actually, quite a bit different.
Yes. So, and I would echo a lot of what you were saying in terms of the original negotiations, and that's why I'm staying away from this personally, because without the blessing of the original creator, like, he's not Roland, he's one guy. And this is like cutting his legs out from under him, like that, you know, that's his thing that he's, you know, he designed it and has been modding these 303s for however long. And I think that Behringer, if they're going to recreate this, they should pay dues to this guy. You know, whether or not 300K or like, I don't know. They're going to sell an assload of these. And I feel like he should be compensated in some way, and they should worked harder to make that happen. Because if they were going to throw the guy 13K, it's like almost insulting. It's like, why'd you even call me? That'd kind of be my response to that, because they're going to sell ridiculous numbers of these at $200 a piece. Like, I mean, I would have been on board. I would have probably bought one of these, but that fact there, it's a sticking point for me, and I'm cool with the regular 303 or the TD3 and the Roland versions that I have, the TB3 and the TB03. So, and then the V-Synth has a TB303 filter in it, so you could do some stuff there. So there's a lot of different options, and then of course the other clones. Like the 303's been cloned a bunch. And that part didn't bother me at all, that Roland made a clone, or that Behringer made a clone of the TB303. This bothers me, though, because it's one guy, and that they're basically taking that guy's life's work and just ripping him off, and I don't like that at all. So that's what I got to say about that.
Now that I know all the backstory, I feel better about everything I said previously.
Well, I don't think they're tearing into his profits, because people that have a 303, a real one, are, if they're interested in a Devilfish mod from Robin, they're going to go that route. I mean, people that are already buying the original, if their intention is to make their 303 a Devilfish, they're going to still use Robin. They're not going to go, well, I can have an original 303 and then get the TD3MO from Behringer and think it's going to sound the same.
You're still going to have. I think you're still going to have people who might have been on that train decide to go and pick up the Behringer for $200. Well, and if it's good enough,
they're not going to. It's not the same as the Robin Whittle one, but again, the Robin Whittle one is going to take your 303 and make it a different machine altogether. A Devilfish, as its name. Right. It's not a 303. In my opinion, it's not a 303 anymore. But that's a whole different discussion. I think the MO is its own bastardization of the TD3, and it has its own what the fuck is this all about kind of thing. And I don't think it'll make any difference in Rob Whittle's profits. I don't think that many people are actually wanting to get Devilfish mods, even if they do have an original TB3 or 303, because I don't think there's any desire for anyone to even necessarily want to touch those originals. Just for
at this point, yeah, you're probably right.
So yeah, it's not really cutting into his business, because I don't think he's making that much on modding the original 303s these days as he used to be. But that's my
yeah, I'm gonna punch CowFood.
Yeah, I'm full of negativity tonight.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah, so that's that. That's my 2 cents. That's Aaron's 2 cents, and that's CowFood.
The Heffenators.
The heifers.
2 cents.
Heffenator, I like that.
The Heffenator. So let's talk about something that's probably less controversial. It's the Modwave. Now available to pre-order. So this is a new version of the Korg. What was it? The Wave State?
I get them confused. I can't keep track.
They've got a
couple,
couple.
They keep using the same chassis.
Yeah, it's like the exact same thing here. I'm not super into these, but you know, it's gonna launch for $700. limited quantity this fall. That seems to be the story of everything these days. Does this have any? Do either of you guys have any desire to try one or maybe pick one of these up at all? Let's start with the CowFood.
No.
No.
I mean, I think it's an Arduino-based board in there, right?
Well, I thought it was a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
well, whatever it is in there, it's tiny, and the weight of that keyboard is pretty much the plastic casing, and a big hollow empty zone in there. So the whole thing is run off a little tiny computer. That's, to me, you kind of feel, if you want to get it, if you're into the tactility of it all and some of the, you want some quality, this might be a little overpriced for what it actually is.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, it's like a plug-in with knobs.
Right, well, exactly. And
but you could also say that about any digital synthesizer, I guess. But this one is kind of weird if it's running on one of those, you know, cheap Raspberry Pis. Like, those are what, $25 a piece? Right. So you're essentially paying for a plastic chassis and a $25 computer, and then, you know, whatever sounds it has.
Well, the research and development that went into that.
Right.
Yeah. Sound design.
Which I'm not saying that doesn't cost anything, but
sure it does.
It does definitely feel like maybe it's it should be a little less. Maybe, I don't know.
The wave state and the mod state, I think, are different in some ways, but just in the way they approach the sound design.
Yeah, I think the mod state said that there's more waveforms available for this. And Lupop has a really good in-depth video, as he normally does, digging into one of these. And again, links in the description if you guys want to check these out. And I don't know, it sounds cool. I like some of these sounds, but I also have stuff that sounds pretty similar. So I kind of don't really have a need for this, but it's still cool. I'm glad to see Korg still pushing stuff. I don't like little tiny key beds like this. You need at least 49 keys. I don't know how many does this have on there, 32 or something. It's definitely not 49.
Yeah, it looks like about 32.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron?
I've never really been attracted to these. Is this wavetable synthesis? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't heard any sounds from the wave state that made me think, oh, I need sounds like that. So, you know, I'm really not the market for this kind of a thing. I don't tend to lean toward digital synths in hardware form anyway, because as you somewhat implied, if I can get a VST that sounds similar or uses a similar methods, I might as well go that route. I mean, I assume this sounds unique. It's like I like the sound of an MS-2000, and still the only way to get the sound of an MS-2000 is to have a micro Korg or an MS-2000, even though, yes, it's digital. So, you know, this might be something that there's no plug-in equivalent, but maybe these are made more with the fans of the original and wave, whatever it was.
Yeah, the original one they did make a plug-in version through the Korg Legacy collection. The Wave, what do you remember what that one is called, CowFood?
The original Wave State?
Yeah, is that what it was called? The Wave
Station.
Wave Station. That's it. Yeah,
Wave Station.
That's
I think I might even have that plug-in at some point, because I got that Legacy collection back in, I don't know, 2008, 2009.
Yeah,
I think that was part of it.
So I think these are kind of modern takes on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never been drawn to that style of synthesis, really. I just prefer subtractive. And I've heard plenty of it, and I just haven't been drawn to it.
Well, the Wave Station was all about that joystick
Oh,
And
okay.
the same with the wave state. It's got a joystick too, so it's all about blending between different waveforms with the joystick.
Yeah, between the wavetables. And this has like a XY pad, it looks like, versus the joystick.
So that introduces a very unique performance element.
Yes.
But I suppose you would just automate that in the studio.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, or it's sometimes it's about blending, getting that right blend to find the sweet spot between these different.
So is it essentially multi-timbral then, and you can blend between the sounds with the stick, like you have 4 different layered sounds.
It's like if you think like a D50, where you've got the partials. There's different samples that are playing, and in a D50 you've got, I think you've got 2 partials per layer, so you can have 4 different samples playing. And the D50 is similar. It's got the little joystick, if I remember correctly, that you can kind of morph between those as well. So it's kind of like that, from what I understand.
Yeah. I really don't know that much about it.
Okay, cool. Let's go on to the next one. We have
my ears are all that I need to know about it.
Yeah, no, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I think wavetables are cool. I just kind of don't need that. So, but if you're new into synthesis, like that's I think a good product. If you're into the wavetable stuff, it's definitely cheaper than some of the other wavetable synths that are out there. So there you go.
I've heard a lot of great sounds from the other one, the Wave State, on Mark Barnes' channel. He's released a number of patch packs for the Wave State, and he gets a lot of variety out of there. I mean, it sounds like you could do just about anything you'd want with it. Really wide palette.
Yeah. 100%. So this one, I think we might have even talked about this one at some point a while back. This is the Solar 50, and it's a 50 oscillator synthesizer. So it's 10 voices, 5 oscillators per voice is the way they describe this. And we'll just play just a little bit of this little demo because I think this is really good sounding. Designed to be kind of like an ambient cinematic synthesizer, basically, is kind of the way they're describing this. I think it sounds really good. What do you think there, Aaron?
The thought I just had was, how do you tune it, and how much time would you have to spend tuning something like that? Is it it's all analog, right?
No, this is digital.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
never mind then.
To get 50 oscillators.
I was just picturing sitting there with the tuner for like 6 hours.
Yeah, I think it's digital, right? Does it say?
It looks, the chassis suggests to me that it's analog, but it's an interesting idea because the drone synths and the ambient synths tend to stack up the oscillators, but I'm not aware of any of them that have that many oscillators. So it's kind of going for the and I think it even had the name of a big ambient synth or whatever.
Yeah, in the big lettering on there.
So it might be really good at doing that. Does it have a stereo output or any sort of voice panning?
I don't know.
Is that the only thing I'd be a little concerned about is how
it's
a mono signal with 50 oscillators.
So there's another link that I pulled up that's I think the original post for this thing.
Oh, okay.
And it's got 5 right and 5 left voices.
Okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it can get really wide, I'm guessing. Really wide sounding sounds.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, estimated price $800. I don't know if that's how much it actually costs now. That's got to be digital. I mean,
yeah, it's got to be digital at that price.
yeah.
So yeah, no, that sounds like
So,
a
yeah,
very
this-
interesting.
This is, I think.
And Elta,
Mhm.
the Elta products that I've used have been top quality. Most of that has been Polyvox type stuff. So I didn't know they made anything digital.
Yeah, it looks like the original post here. Let me see if I can find the date from when this was. Oh yeah, this is November 2019. This original post here.
Oh wow.
So this looks like maybe what they were originally planning this to look like.
Yeah, it's very different from
It's-
the
yeah.
one you just showed, the yellow one.
Yeah, and the yellow one has, it's got like a. Let me turn that down and play some more. It's got like a weird looking kind of tactile touch kind of.
Yeah, it looks like there's a joystick on each voice. I see what looks like a joystick or something. Or okay,
like
it
those
was just
it's
an
got, like,
optical illusion.
Weird little ball things there.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
what those are. This is pretty interesting. I think I might want to check this out. But
Those are optical.
is it for light, like a big D beam on there?
But yeah, your hand shadow, I think, or
So how do you use one of them without your arm covering up the others?
Yeah, there you go. I could have sworn this was analog. It says on their website, Solar 50 is a unique analog performance-oriented electronic music instrument that is designed for creative movie soundtrack, etc., etc.
I just don't know how they could do that for $800.
It's analog?
It's just oscillators though. That's all it is. I mean, there's one
Well,
filter.
analog.
I think
It's oscillators
purified.
and some digital effects, right? Because it's got a bunch of reverbs
Yeah,
and stuff in
digital
there.
effects that you can buy cartridges for, I think, for the effects. It's a weird
Yeah,
synth. And
Sounds totally
Sonic
outside
did a
the
review
box.
on it.
Oh, they did.
Well, yeah, about a year and a half ago. It was a while ago.
So this is.
So it's
Yeah.
kind of old. But maybe they're just now starting to make them available for people other than reviewers to actually own.
I want to say we talked about this at one point on one of the shows a while
might have.
ago.
I have no recollection of this device.
Yeah.
But 50 oscillators, that's the selling point, right?
Right. Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got 50 micro.
It's
tuned
like an
oscillators.
orchestra of oscillators.
And that demo was lathered in shimmer reverb. which
Yeah.
I-
Oh yeah.
I can
It's
hear
just
it.
dripping
Oh,
reverb.
So I couldn't really get a good sense from that demo of what 50 oscillators. is
Oh
gonna
look,
sound
Loop Hop has a
And
video.
if I think they're analog, like I say, I don't know.
Well,
how
they showed a
use the
circuit
price
board, so to me that implies that it's analog. We've got circuit boards.
point. Right,
Because I've never seen a circuit board show off for a digital synth.
right. I'm pretty sure it's analog. And I
Got an analog filter.
If I recall the Sonic State review, he was saying it's a real pain in the ass one too.
So yeah, my concern would be tuning on something like that. Like
Yeah.
if it doesn't have some kind of automated tuning process,
Yeah, you walk
you
away
would
for a
just go
coffee,
insane.
come back, and the whole thing was completely a different tune. It literally like drifted so much.
Huh.
where the air conditioner turns on and
Right.
you're just
exactly.
hosed.
That
Yeah.
that happens with my Prophet 10.
But that's the beauty of it, man. You got to be in the moment.
Oh, but it gets way out if I got the air on. It's pretty wild. I didn't expect that.
It's got personality, man. You got to just grab onto it, ride it like a stallion.
I guess.
Ride it like a heffernator.
Yeah. Yeah. Something
Interesting.
Like that.
I don't know. $800 isn't too bad. I don't know. That might be worth picking up. Actually, I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah,
that.
I think it's something the S Rabbit might like.
Yeah.
I think
He
it's a
really
drone
likes the
machine.
drone sounds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you're
exactly.
into drones, this is a drone machine.
Yeah.
For droning.
Yeah.
And we're not
The
talking
drone-
drones like drone strikes.
And those are optical. They definitely are either heat or optical. I think they're optical. Though the heat would be too much.
Hmm.
They,
You can get one?
me? No. I got enough
I thought you were all into
analog. I am, but I don't. I got the tools.
It's got
I need for
five
that.
oscillators left and 5 right, man. Yeah, like super wide stereo field there.
Yeah. I don't know. I like analog, but I don't like it. Like
You don't like
I
it
can't.
that much?
I don't. I mean, drone is just. I can do that. I can just. I don't need 50
But
oscillators.
it's 50 oscillators, man.
I don't need it.
You're like 1/10 of the mega drone machine that Look Mom No Computer made.
Yep. Yeah, I heard that. I'm like, okay, that's a one-trick pony.
Right.
So-
Yeah. It's more of a feast for the eyes
Right.
than anything. All right, cool. Let's talk about Audacity. I don't know. I haven't really ever used Audacity, but I thought this was interesting because Audacity was a free open source audio recording piece of software, and it was picked up by a company called Music Group recently. It was acquired, and they had
Who could
added
they be?
I don't know exactly. I think they're, well, it says in here that some of the data, so basically here's the gist of this.
Isn't Music Group Behringer?
No, they're Music Tribe, I think, right?
Oh, okay.
This is Muse Group, not music.
Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I added letters there because I'm dyslexic apparently. Muse Group. But I think Behringer's Music Tribe, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway, so what they did is they added some functionality to this to where certain bits of data get transmitted back to the company there. And
Well, if it's still free, that's the only reason they would do it that way.
yeah, but I think it really irritated the open source community because I think that
violates part of the
violates
open source
the
creed.
Open source. Well, I think there's a certain license or something that they were talking about in here that it. I can't remember exactly. I'm trying to find it, but anyways.
Should not be used by people below the age of 13.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought this was crazy. So this happens sometimes, though, like where something that a lot of people use, because I'm sure there's probably millions or hundreds of thousands at least of people that have installed this application and use it.
I
in
have
some
it on this
capacity.
very computer that I'm using.
Yeah, and when something like this gets scooped up by a bigger company, they inevitably end up changing things or doing stuff to where they can figure out, I'm assuming, how to make some kind of money on this.
Yeah, they're trying to monetize it.
Yeah. So basically there's a bunch of people in the open source community calling for this to be forked, since it is, the source code is open source. Somebody could take it and fork it into something else to where it still retains its non phone home functionalities that these guys are trying to add to it. So wow, what do you think of that, Aaron?
I'm guessing it's probably already been done. They're just setting up the new website for the forked version. I mean, usually the culture of open source is, oh, you're going to do that? Well, we'll just make our own version and go back to what we were doing before you came in here and knocked the table over and insulted our, loved ones or whatever. I mean, it's just, they're a libertarian mindset, I guess you could say. But the software is great. It's a really useful tool. I use it for if I want to make wavetables to load onto something. You can, single cycle waveforms, cut them apart. I use it anytime I want to record, like sample some sort of a random audio from some other source on the computer, or to convert from one bit rate or hertz to something else. So it's a really useful, easy to use audio tool. I don't know that there's a good alternative, so I hope either this new company doesn't totally screw it up, which it's not looking well, or that somebody forks it and you get another flavor of it with a new paint job and away we go.
And a different name, I'd imagine, then at that point. obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says here in the article that there was an update here that they had probably due to the outcry of the this here. That they appear to be evolving. A May 17th Tech Radar article says that the company revised their initial plans for data collection, but the privacy policy containing the issues people are concerned about is dated July 2nd. So that would have been after that. So I don't know. Would this, Aaron, do you think this would be something that would make you definitely want to stop using this? And if there was a viable...
Well, I won't upgrade it or update it. And actually, I'll when we're done with this, I'll make sure it's not set to auto update. I don't think it auto updates. I don't think it's that level. You know, it's open source, so it tends to just kind of sit around until you reinstall it. Then you might end up with a newer version. But most open source doesn't have phone home stuff.
Yeah.
And if it does, there's ways you can shut it all off. Because I use a fair bit of open source software for a variety of different tasks. So I'd have to reread the article if you can shut off those features or if they're just, you're stuck with them. I could see that as being a major outcry. But I don't know. I don't like any software to phone home. If it does and I can't shut it off, I don't even use it.
It's just interesting because it's like, you don't really know what they're collecting. So
yeah, they should say in there. I mean, I don't know. Just the whole internet culture is becoming more aware of how much stuff we have that is. I'm trying not to go too deep down the rabbit hole, but effectively spying on us, recording our activities, and then selling it to the highest bidder to market stuff and manipulate us and all that crazy stuff. And so then to have Audacity do that, it's like, you know, when you're told about it, you can make a fit.
It's audacious and annoying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the audacity of these people to use Audacity.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That was a good one, CowFood.
So,
That was awesome.
but yeah, for me, I would do the same as Aaron.
Do you use Audacity at all?
I do. It's my little single editor.
Yeah.
It's my waveform editor. I
Yeah.
don't use a DAW for that. I use a separate program for that. Audacity has been the one. I used to use SoundForge back in the day.
I remember SoundForge, yeah. And Cool
Audacity
Edit.
is the one.
Cool Edit.
Cool Edit, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever, as long as it does the job. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it. I think that's horrendous that they're doing that, and I hope the fork does appear. So
Yeah.
If they really do that, I don't see why it wouldn't. I mean, if it's open source, I mean, it's just so easy. Just duplicate it. I mean, I don't know what legal restrictions there are to forking open source software, but I thought it just meant, well, you just got to put give it a different name or something.
Yeah, I don't think there's any legal. I think anything that they add to it, and then potentially the name, the rights to the name, I'm assuming they own that now. But the actual underlying code is open source, so anybody could grab that and develop whatever they want from it. So yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, it's supposed to be an offline piece of software, standalone piece of software, and I don't like this at all. But I do find it interesting because I've been a Pro Tools user for a long time, but I haven't updated since 11, Pro Tools 11. Once they went to their subscription model, I stopped updating my Pro Tools.
Good for you.
Thank you. But one of the things that's happened recently, and I was trying to do some stuff, kind of showcasing some older projects that I had worked on for some video game stuff that I had done, but it was all done in Pro Tools. And one of the things I had noticed is I tried to launch it, and it would have an issue where the playback needle, or whatever you call it, the little line... Playhead. It would stop. I mean, the sound would keep playing, but the playhead would just freeze, and all the the VU meters would freeze for a couple seconds and then kind of jump and then start working again. Like, it was really bizarre, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I did some reading about it, and apparently Pro Tools does something similar where it sends data back to Avid, and I think that they shut those servers down for the older versions of Pro Tools, and in the version I have, I can't disable that. In the newer ones, you can turn the telemetry off or whatever they're sending back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for me to use it and not have it do that, I have to literally disconnect the internet from the computer or disable the NIC interface, and then it plays fine. But it's interesting because I didn't even know Pro Tools did that until I started having that issue. So
You can't mess with your Windows firewall and maybe block that?
I might be able to do something like that and just block that specific application from going out to the public internet. Yeah,
It depends on what causes the pause, because even if you block it, it may look for it, not find it, and still pause while it's looking for it and not finding it.
Yeah, but you would think if that was the case, then just disabling the NIC card would have the same problem. But I tested that, and it definitely doesn't do it if you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that answers the question.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure I could probably set up some things. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And this is a month old now, so I mean, I don't know if there's been any new developments in this, but I remember hearing about this and thinking, that's interesting. That'd be kind of cool to talk about. So, CowFood, are you going to uninstall it?
No, I'm not going to uninstall it. I'm just not going to get the new version, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. I just like harassing CowFood. I guess last topic I have here, guys, and then we can open it up to anything else you want to chat before we go. This is the TC Electronics June 60 V2. So for some of you folks may not know this, but TC Electronics a few years back made a Juno chorus pedal, and it was cheap. It's like 50, 60 bucks, but it sounded nothing like the Juno chorus that we know, and it was not well received on the synthesizer end of things. I don't know if guitarists really care that much about that, but if you were wanting to take this and hook it up to a synthesizer to get the Juno, Magic Sauce chorus that they had on some of their vintage synths, yeah, you weren't getting that with the original, but supposedly this version 2 is a much closer match to the Roland. So, do you have any thoughts on this, CowFood?
Yeah, there was version 2 of the Roland TR-808 from Behringer too, which TC Electronics is a part of. I guess they like to make a lot of version 2s of their hardware now.
Yeah, I saw that with the RD8 having a V2, which I was like, what?
Yep. There's another V2 out there, right? That Behringer put out? I'm trying to remember. In any case, what do I think about the chorus? I mean, if they can get the sound right, then maybe. I didn't buy the original one because it didn't sound right, and I just wasn't gonna do that. So if they can get it right for the same price, maybe I'll consider hooking it up to my DeepMind and have a Juno 106 proper.
Yeah, it is 60 bucks, and is available now.
So
So
I'll have to hear some demos, see if it actually can do it.
Well, yeah, you got one right here with this guy on here.
With a DeepMind?
No, what did he?
Screw him.
A lot of it's guitars. They used your synth there,
Why?
the monopoly.
But why?
I don't know.
It's supposed to be that's a Korg recreation. They're supposed to play it with a Roland.
They should have used their DeepMind with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but they're trying to sell these now.
That's
So.
how they would sell them. Okay, whatever.
What do you think, Aaron? Are you into this kind of thing at all?
I like everything about this article. I like that they're admitting that the original was garbage.
Yeah.
I like that they listened to the synth community about a pedal that was marketed primarily to guitarists and then modified it to meet the demands of the synth community and then they made a video of the V2, and in the video there's like no audio of it being played through a synthesizer. It's all guitar. You can see synths in the background, but you can barely hear the audio. Like it's underneath the guy talking. So at no point in that video did I hear what it sounds like with a synthesizer running through it,
which
in a way
actually
that tells me anything.
which actually means it probably doesn't sound as close as what they're
Yeah,
trying to
I'll
say.
be amazed if it. And then all the comment section was the icing on the cake. 'Cause
I didn't read
just
the comments. Is it? Oh,
they're pointing out everything that I'm talking about, and
yeah.
so I'm like, they're like the little engine that could. I mean, I got to give them props. I mean, it takes guts to admit when you mess something up, especially a product launch. And TC Electronic, I mean, they have a pretty well. I thought they had a well-respected name. So we'll see. I mean, there's the Tal VST version of the Juno Chorus, and there's other versions out there too. You can get the sound of the Juno Chorus very easy and for free. So I don't know what the fuss is over. I guess the main thing is they're saying it's a Juno Chorus, and if it doesn't sound like it, that's a big no-no, I guess. So the whole thing's just amusing me. I feel like this should be the Synth Vultures podcast, because we're just sitting here thumbing our nose at everything and making fun of it all. And
Well, that's part of the problem when there's not a lot of new gear that's come out that we're really excited about. So
we're just digging deep tonight.
yeah, we're scraping the bottom of the synth barrel.
I'm enjoying myself.
Me too.
Ditto.
CowFood.
Yeah?
I already asked you about this, didn't I?
What?
This June 2, V2, June 16th.
What are we talking about again?
Huh? What's your name?
What's that?
What day is it?
Yeah, you asked me about it. I said, why aren't they trying to use a deep line to at least promote?
Yeah, they should have the proper mea culpa demo video would have been, and they even showed a Juno multiple times in that video, but you didn't hear that Juno going through the pedal in a way that told you anything.
Well,
they should have. Well, okay, this would be go ahead.
What you have is a link to an Espingcraft video where he modded an original June 60 to try and sound more like the Juno using a Juno.
Yeah.
So
the whole thing's hilarious. They
ideally it's like a meme.
It's like a meme in real time. It's just hilarious. Ideally, they would have had a video, had the Juno there, plugged it through the original, somehow admitted that this sounds horrible, thrown that away, plugged it into the new one, have it sound amazing, and that's all they needed to do, and everybody would have went out and bought the pedal.
Yeah, if that's what they did, I would, and I bought one of the first ones. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I could,
because that's what everybody thought originally.
Yeah, and it was crap. So,
but instead, here they have a video that's just guitar demonstrations and a bunch of footage of synthesizers where you can't hear what the pedal is doing to the synthesizer. So,
yeah,
I think it's endearing.
Oh God, that's awesome. All right, well, that's kind of all the topics I had for today. Do you guys have anything you want to chat about?
I wanted to ask CowFood, what do you know about the 808 Mark II, or what the TR8, whatever, the Behringer version 2? What did they do there?
They had an op amp that they didn't have prior when they made the Mark I. There was a special OTA chip in there that they didn't have access to, so they had to try to finagle one to throw in to get that product out to the public. And now, as far as whether the Make 1 sounds much different from a Make 2, or Make 1 from an actual 808, or the Make 2 to an 808, I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Well,
so there's no added functionality or anything, because I remember hearing there were some firmware issues, and I thought maybe they would have
I don't think
Well,
so.
we
They
can
changed the
use hardware
colors.
to make these issues less likely, or iron out some kinks or something.
I don't know.
can't-
Did they? I'm not sure.
I can't remember what the issues were with the firmware either. I didn't
It was
actually.
sync. It was sync
It was
issues.
a sync issue? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I didn't actually update. I bought mine a long time ago, and I never really used it until I've set this whole rig up. Because I was waiting for the RD9. I've been waiting for the RD9 for like 3 years, so I can set up like a hardware version of Rebirth.
We should call it the Waldorf RD9. Because you had to wait for 3 years.
Oh yeah. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, they take a long time.
But they changed like some of the styling on it, where the buttons, where these are some white buttons over here, on the left hand side of the RD8. You probably can't hardly see that in the video there, but they're black now on that. So I think they got rid of the white buttons and did some other little minor cosmetic things to it.
Were those to differentiate from the original due to possible trademark issues?
I don't know. That I don't know, because on the original 808 from Roland, the colors are reversed. So they start.
Yeah, I have a T-shirt of the 808 on at
yeah.
the moment, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, look at that. That's cool.
Wrong way. There we go.
Get it perfectly square. Yeah. Yeah, so they just reverse the colors. And they did that on, like, they do that a lot on their stuff, where they'll take the colors and just make the color scheme backwards. They did that with their monopoly. Or not monopoly, the Korg one. Or the Mini Moog one, but it's like 4 oscillators. What was that one called?
Model D?
No.
Right, the Poly.
The Para D?
Poly D, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they made
The paraphonic polyphonic synth?
Yes, with like chorus on it and weird shit. But they made the colors of the switches backwards from a Model D, where you've got some orange switches and some blue switches, and they just reversed them.
But you hated it before they did that anyway, though, right?
I hate it because they're trying to make it look like a Mini Moog, and it's not a fucking Mini Moog. So.
And then they throw that same old chorus pedal we were just talking about,
right?
As the main, like, part of a main function of that. Like, what the fuck?
I guess. Well, and I thought you couldn't, or you could bypass it, or I know there was issues with the chorus the way it was implemented on the Poly D.
Oh, I didn't know that, because I just.
I think, what's his name now? Shoebridge had a video where he had that problem, and I'd encountered it from a number of other people saying there was a problem with the chorus. Maybe it was the earlier models.
Yeah,
like it was noisy and they couldn't bypass it.
Sorted.
And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of Behringer shit in here, but I pick as wisely as I can.
I have a whole fucking table of their stuff, and then I have a DeepMind 12 still. Trying to think. I've got several of their mixers. Their air mixers are awesome. They're X-Airs. I really like those. So I'm not anti-Behringer necessarily, but like, what in the hell? Anyway, if they make a Mark II RD9, I'm gonna scream. So I hope they got that one right.
That would be hilarious. Sorry.
It concerns me how quickly they made a Mark II of the RD8.
Yeah, it's only been what, like a year, maybe? Maybe it's a year and a half.
Well,
I can't remember when the
I guess
first one came
because
out.
they're ramping up their IC chips, the cloning of the IC chips, so they didn't have the tech to ramp
They should have
up
just waited
as fast as they wanted to, so they're coming up with Mark IIs.
Is it a Mark II or is it like a 1.1?
It's more of a 1.1, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if
it looks cosmetically the same and sounds
close
almost
enough.
the same.
Yeah. Basically, I don't think there's any. Maybe there is some functionality differences, but I don't see it. That's the same firmware as the Mark I. I don't think there's any difference.
Yeah, I think so.
They did have to upgrade the firmware for the Mark I, but it took them a long time to do it.
That was a pain in the
sync
ass
issue.
to upgrade too, by the way.
I bet.
because you had to add like some different little bootloader thing and like because when
Oh, no.
because I set like because I knew there was new firmware for that, and so when I got the RD9 and I was setting up that rig out there, I went through and made sure everything had updated firmware, and you had to do like a couple stepped upgrades, and one had like a different bootloader, and you had to do a bunch of weird shit. So, I mean, it wasn't difficult if you're technical and you're computer savvy, but the average person, if they don't know, like, I could just imagine that they probably want to throw that thing through a fucking window.
That reminds me of when I uploaded user wavetables to the Pro 3. It was like 3 different programs involved, and it took me about a week to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if there were problems, I'm glad they got them fixed, and that's good. But seeing a Mark II so quickly is concerning.
Yeah, it doesn't bode well. It's like a big middle finger to everybody that bought one.
That bought one, yeah.
You know, during the last year.
Yeah, that's how I felt.
Well, they're just trying to get their clones to be more exact, I guess. That's not.
I get
Who
it.
knows?
Whatever, but you know, listen, if you're missing like a critical piece, and I don't know how important that op amp is in the sound of the 808, because I thought it sounded pretty good, but I don't have an original 808, and all 808s, from what I understand, sound slightly different because they're analog, and they're like 40 years old at least.
And they're all being processed through something before you hear it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be compressed and whatever else kind of effects you can throw on them. So I don't know if it matters that much anyways, but apparently they thought it was important enough to make a revision to the hardware, and that's, yeah. They better not do that with this one, the RD9. I'll be really pissed. So hopefully they got that.
And there was the whole UBXA thing that came out. I guess it's not bring that up.
What about that?
The Behringer's OBX or OBXA clone.
Yeah, the UBXA. Well, they had released something about with a photo of it, and it looked like they were copying the styling again of the original, and didn't even they had the same font.
Yeah,
that was when they had the trademark, I thought, or when they claimed to have the trademark.
One of the videos has tape on the. This is what I've read. I don't know if it's true, but they had tape on the case, and I think it said Oberheim. So that's. There you go. I think they were intending to put it out as Oberheim. And
yeah.
So, but the videos that have just come out about it are showing that I think that they are going to change it back to UBXA, which is good, I guess. But what do you guys think of the sound of that thing? Have you heard it?
I don't think I've heard it. Have you heard it, Aaron?
I'm not familiar enough with the original to make any sort of educated judgment. And I've only heard the earlier prototypes of it where I don't know that the filters and it didn't seem like it was working 100%, so the sounds were very simple and plain. So I don't know what it's supposed to sound like yet.
On the sequential or Dave Smith Instruments OB6 is kind of that already. And I remember seeing a comparison from Retro Synth on YouTube. Retro Sound with an original versus the OB6, and even those sounded, the OB6 sounds good, but like they didn't sound identical either. So that's like a big problem when you're trying to make something that sounds like something that's.
The OB6 is kind of its own thing.
It's not meant to be a UBXA version 3 or anything.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the filter is an SEM filter on the 6, and the OBXA is a Curtis chip, 24 decibel.
Okay.
As far as I recall.
Well, and
they're completely different.
And there's been some rumors that maybe there's going to be something coming from either Sequential or maybe Oberheim now, since he's got his full trademark back.
I think that's right.
And if that happens, I think I will be ponying up some cash to get one of those. We'll see if that actually ends up happening, but
I think it will. I think that's the future synth we're about to see in a month or so.
Yeah.
Hopefully a month.
Hopefully.
The OBX, or I think it's going to be an OBX.
Yeah.
Probably analog oscillators, or VCO, I should say, oscillators.
Yeah. I don't know, Aaron, if there was something like that come out, I know you said you weren't super familiar with the original, but I don't know.
It would pique my curiosity, but I'm not looking to get any big fancy hardware anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, cool. Anything else, gentlemen?
That's it for me.
Well, cool. Aaron?
Yeah, I haven't really been following any of the news. I've been so busy the last month or so. So this is all new to me, and it looked like some of the articles were a little old. So
Yeah.
maybe things are just moving a little slow in the summer period.
I think it's been slow for the last year, really, honestly. So there hasn't been a huge amount of big news other than the Prophet 10 and the Korg 2600. I guess, well, and Behringer's 2600 came out. We didn't really talk about that.
Meh, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So, and they've just flooded. I've seen a bunch of articles on some of the stuff, and you kind of had talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the show. I'm just kind of tired of hearing about Behringer, honestly. I want to see some products and hear them. You know, so.
Well, I found. I mean, if you want to purchase some Behringer stuff, you can do it overseas instead of waiting for Sweetwater.
Like juno.co.uk.
Well, I think that whole situation may improve because Sweetwater's become an official partner with them or distributor for Behringer in the U.S. I don't think they had distribution here like that previously, so maybe that'll improve. Where, you know, Thomann is getting, or Thomann, however you say it, is getting products months before us here in the U.S. So
yeah.
So
one of the problems with ordering from them is when you get the product from Thomann, you get the European power adapters.
Oh,
you have to find a power adapter that matches here. So you have to add that extra cost.
Yeah.
Kind of a pain.
I didn't even think about that. I tried ordering some Jasper stands from them because they're like the only place I can find to buy them. And I tried to pay them, and it was such a pain to try and, I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, like my bank did not want to send them money, and I was like, whatever. I guess I'm not getting any Jaspers. So, I don't know. You've bought stuff from there though, right?
Yeah.
Have you had problems making payments to them?
No. The shipping is fast. I mean, it literally comes for me. Everything has come within like 3 to 4 days after ordering it, the most. So, and what I've been ordering was mostly Behringer's Hero Rack stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's dirt cheap. I mean, their Hero Rack stuff is.
Did they sell that System 100 as a set, or did you get them individual?
I got them individual, but you can buy them as a set.
I mean, is it discounted as a set?
Not by much, no. But you do have to, as a set, you end up buying the case to go with it.
Oh, okay.
So it includes a case and a power supply, I assume?
Yes.
The whole shebang. That actually wouldn't be a bad way to get started in Eurorack too.
Yeah, yes, please do it. I have mostly a System 100. You need to do this, Marshall. That's your next purchase. It's only $600 and some change.
No.
Do it.
I'm afraid for Marshall to get into Eurorack because I've observed his synthesizer habits already. I'm like, imagine that cranked up by 10.
Yes.
Well, that's
the next stream will be him on a laptop with a potato in a cardboard box,
right,
in an alley somewhere.
I'll build my house out of Euroracks and I'll just live inside of them.
He would paint the walls with Eurorack. It'd be like Junkie XL in there.
Yeah.
But for utility modules too, I mean, if you just need some LFOs or envelopes or whatever, you can get them for dirt cheap. I mean, they work. They work well enough. So, I don't know. It's if you need some stuff for your rack.
I think that'll like that may, for me personally, like to get into Eurorack. If that happens, it's going to be because there's like absolutely no other synths that I either don't own or want. And Eurorack is a whole unexplored universe for me because I've got a few semi-modular synths, but no like full Eurorack or modular synths in general. So I think it's going to happen eventually, but probably not till I'm like 50.
Is that going to be your midlife crisis? Synth?
Yeah, my synth life crisis.
Synth life crisis.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's cool seeing a lot more options, but the Eurorack space has been highly competitive and innovative for a long time anyways.
Yeah.
So the hardest part for me when I look at stuff is like, I wouldn't even know where to start or what to get. So if you could buy a set like that, or
that's a great way to start is with a set.
Yeah, doesn't Roland have like the System 500 or something like that? That's Eurorack.
Yeah, and Dopefer's got a variety of sets as well.
Yeah. So those things would be interesting, and that's probably how I would start: is get a set and play with it, and then see if the bug bites or not.
You'll end up like Jamie in no time. You'll have a whole wall dedicated to it, and you'll use it occasionally.
Yeah. Well, and I did nibble a little bit with my Nord modular, the micro modular. So that's a modular, right? That counts.
Yeah, and if you want to just check it out, there's VCV Rack.
Yeah, VCV Rack. I haven't tried that one, but yeah.
That's your no cost, see what it does kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I understand synthesis, so I mean, I'm sure I could figure it out, but yeah.
Yeah, you better.
CowFood's gonna get really pissed if I don't.
He's gonna heffinate you.
Yeah. Well, cool guys.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds scary.
I don't think I want to be hefinated. No.
Okay, well, I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there.
Okay.
Not on the show.
Well, I think we'll end it there, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, Aaron, let everyone know where they can find more about you.
Impurfekt on YouTube and Point Surrender on YouTube. Those are both on Bandcamp also, and that's where all my activity is at, both YouTube or Bandcamp.
Now your project with the S-Rabbit, is that going to be posted on one of those two channels?
Yeah, that's going to be on Impurfekt. Okay. And I'll do some kind of a little preview video. I haven't put it together yet, but just kind of highlighting some of the album that we worked on, and have to figure out some visuals that are appropriate for the content.
Yeah. Well, that'd be cool. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, that'll be next month.
Next month. So September. Cool. What about you, CowFood? Where can people find out about you if they want?
You can find me on SoundCloud. Just look up CowFood, and I'll be putting up new works over there, and also I'll be ramping up my YouTube channel.
When's the last time you put something new on either one of those, Mr. CowFood?
A long time.
1963.
That's what you keep telling me about these, and I keep checking them out, and there's like 4 years old content, and I'm like,
oh dude, he's busting.
What's he doing with all that stuff?
Right now.
I know. It's all wired back here. I mean, I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, you said this last time.
Oh yeah.
So I did it, but I don't know. I have no excuse. None.
Well,
we're just having fun.
Yeah, I hope to see some YouTube content from you pretty soon. I think that'd be cool. You got that nice fart machine back there. I'd love to hear some demos and some tracks that you make with that.
Maybe through some shimmer.
Yeah, bunch of big sky,
shimmer.
Bunch of big sky reverb.
No, I'm not a fan of shimmer. It'll be more lush without the shimmer.
Well, cool. Yeah. So that's the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you saw, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Hopefully we'll go not a whole year before doing another one of these. I do these periodically with these gentlemen, and we usually have another guy on here, EchoCraft. He couldn't make it this evening, but hopefully next time we can get him on with us. And love to hear your comments down below on any of the topics or comments, suggestions, concerns. You know what to do. So thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.